Jobina, did you see that show 24 back in the day with Jack Bauer?
No.
Okay, so the basic premise of the show was that this CIA, whatever, NSA guy had 24 hours to like stop the bad guys from blowing up the Coliseum or something like that. And every season he had like 24 hours to do this thing. But the joke became that he was on his phone the whole day, but he never charged his phone. So it was like, that was like a weird little joke of the thing.
Right.
So in this show we're reviewing tonight, all of these people are super fit and they're of a certain age and we never see them exercising. You
that
and
is
I
true.
both know to be fit and 50.
You got to be in that gym.
You got to be in that gym.
In that gym.
I did not see one.
They never worked out.
Not one of them. Not one of them.
Not a one of them. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Let's start the show. Hey everyone, I am Luther Palmer, and this is One Episode Stand, the podcast that helps you figure out what to watch and what to skip.
And I'm Jobina Scott. We check out the very first episode of a new streaming show. Just one episode, usually. And then we talk about it.
Because we watched more than one episode of this.
Yes, we did. Confessions.
You already know about one night stands. Well, this is like that. But for TV shows, Jobina, we're gonna get to the 4 seasons in a second. But tell the people what else you're watching.
Okay, so this is a movie. It's not a show, but I just watched the other night Kinda Pregnant with Amy Schumer.
Oh.
It's moderately funny, but it is about this woman who is single and getting older, and all the women around her are pregnant. And she goes maternity shopping with one of her friends. And I don't know if you've ever been in a maternity store with your wife, but when you are early on in your pregnancy, they have a fake baby bump in the dressing room for you to see. For you to see, like, what is this garment going to look like on me when I get
interesting.
bigger?
Well, I mean, that's pretty smart.
So it's really smart. So her friend is like out there looking for clothes, and she's waiting for her in the dressing room, and she puts on the belly.
Yeah.
And she starts to like it, how she looks.
Oh, no.
She ends up walking out with it and starts masquerading as a pregnant person. And the cool thing about this is that the guy who she falls in love with in the series is the guy who's playing Tina Fey's husband in 4 seasons. So check out the connection.
Okay, I see you.
Did you see that? And I literally just randomly watched the movie. But yes, Amy Schumer is dating Tina Fey's fake husband in 4 seasons.
Okay, so what did you know about 4 seasons before we picked it for the podcast?
Nothing. Not a thing. Of course, just Netflix suggesting that I watch it.
Yeah.
But in preparing to do this show, I discovered that this is a remake. I was like Googling the 4 seasons so I could remember all the cast members' names. And they were like, the original? And I was like, what do you mean? No, I just want
a remake
4
of the
seasons.
show?
A remake of a 1981 movie.
Oh.
Yeah. So 4 seasons starring Alan Alda. Talk about another connection. So Alan Alda plays Anne's dad in the remake, and he actually is in the original
that was
along with Carol Burnett.
So that was intentional. Like a throwback. Oh.
A little bit of a
throwback.
throwback.
Like, what is Alan Alda doing in this show? First of all, he's old.
He was in the original. He is old. That man has aged.
And I was like, will they let this man just retire? Like, it just felt like...
I was watching him when I was a little kid on MASH. Like, he deserves to be older.
Are you a fan of that? Like, did you like his... Because he's kind of a quirky guy. Like, did you like his energy?
Yeah, I mean, I like his energy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a good actor.
So, like, Marry, Kill, or One Night Stand, Alan Alda. Hawkeye. I think his name was Hawkeye on MASH.
Hawkeye. Yeah, I didn't like his sense of humor. Definitely Kill. There's no way I'm doing anything with Hawkeye.
I think his sense of humor made that show. So okay.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I thought it was too dry.
Okay, where can we watch the 4 seasons?
All right, you can get the 4 seasons on Netflix.
Your home.
My home base. And this is, I think it's a dramedy, or at least it tries to be a dramedy. Like, it tries to strike the balance between drama and humor. Yeah. So it's a dramedy. It's like 30 minutes, and 8 episodes that really complete the story.
Okay, what would you say the show is about?
Kind of generally what it's about. It's about this group of four couples who vacation together.
Wait, is it 4 couples?
Isn't it 4 couples?
I think it's 3 couples.
It's
right?
3.
Yeah.
3 couples who vacation together regularly.
Right.
They're best friends.
From college, yeah.
At least the core people are best friends from college.
Right.
And it follows them through 4 vacations and 4 seasons and all of the twists and turns in all of their relationships. Like there's definitely a primary relationship that we're following, but we also get a taste of all of their relationships.
So the first episode really focuses on one of the relationships. And I think we both have watched enough to know that the series really reveals that all of these couples who are, we'd call them middle-aged. They're all struggling in different and interesting ways, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the show really about? What really came up for you in this first episode?
Yeah, I mean, in this first episode, what hit me the most is how do you know if you are really on the same page as your spouse?
Right.
Like if you all, especially if your communication is not strong, like the connection has been lost over time. Like how can you really know if you're thinking the same things or even having the same assessment?
How can you know if your spouse is going to leave you tomorrow?
Right. If one of you is going to leave and the other one is going to plan like a vow renewal.
Right.
How do you know?
So this is not a spoiler, but to say the first episode, one of the characters reveals the one played by Michael Scott. He reveals that he's leaving his wife, and she reveals that she's planning a surprise vow renewal for them. Right. So that's like the premise of the first. Talk about being episode. On opposite ends of the continuum. Right. And you're saying I mean, is there a way to do that without communication? Like if you have faulty communication, but just it's like you don't know what the other person is thinking. Like right. If you are planning a vow renewal, you maybe you don't think that your husband is going to. You may not be clear on like whether the love is as strong. Right. But like I'm guessing you don't think that your husband's going to leave you. Yeah. Did you? There's a Instagram video out of a woman on camera and the interviewer off camera, and I don't think she's famous or anything. The interviewer off camera says, "Is your husband happy?" And she takes a long pause.
Oh no!
Because she hasn't considered it, and I'm wondering how often do we pause and consider is my
the other
partner
happy?
Really happy? And of course all the guys in the comments were like, "Oh, women don't care about male happiness." And I was just like, "You losers!" Like look in the mirror, bro. Like it's not about men versus women. It's about long-term committed partnerships,
people, and in long-term relationships. And
are
they
invested
checking in
our partner's happiness? Even if our partner says,
enough
"I'm
to
happy,"
know if they're not.
But even if they say I'm happy. Right, but have you really?
You dig under the surface,
and then what do you what can be done? Like if you're saying, I don't think my partner's happy. Like, what are you really invested in their happiness, or are you invested in the partnership? Right, the parenting, the teamwork. Are you invested in your partner's happiness? And something else that comes up in the show is as he is trying to explain why he's leaving his wife, he asks his friends, "Are you all? Can you say that you're really happy?"
Right.
And it begs the question, what role do spouses play in our happiness? Now, I think we all know you're not supposed to depend upon your other partner for happiness, right? That's an old idea, right? We got that. But happiness comes from the relationships that we have with friends, with family, with our spouse. So the spouse is a central figure in our relationships.
Right.
And should you be trying to make your husband happy? Like what?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the question for me was is perpetual happiness, is that attainable? We're worried about whether as a couple we are happy. I feel like that's the central question for Nick and Anne in this case. Are they happy? And yet they've gone through a lot of seasons of life. Right. Is perpetual happiness attainable?
Perpetual seems Pollyanna,
and I don't mean perpetual
right?
all the time. Okay. I mean over time. Is continual happiness over time. Like, is that
Right,
the right
right.
aim?
Why isn't it the right aim?
I mean, I'm asking.
Just because
I don't
life be
know.
lifing?
Life be lifing, and people be changing. Like, people change. And I mean, that was one thing about what Steve Carell, aka Michael Scott, aka whatever his name was in the show, Nick.
Right.
Nick was saying to his friends, like, she has changed. Like, he basically was like, she's boring.
Yeah.
She like stays up and
Yeah.
plays this ridiculous
Farm game
on her game on her farm game on her phone.
Right.
Like,
right.
she's no longer the person that I married.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, well, she wasn't going to be.
Well, okay, let's go back to the happiness because I that was interesting too. So I'm going to come back to that. Let's go back to the happiness.
Okay.
What are we here for if not to be happy, right? Like what is the point if not to be happy? And I'm not saying I got to wake up every day happy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would say if I'm unhappy for more than a season, we got to talk. Like something is.
You're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
something's going off the rails here.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think that in those conversations, if you have a healthy enough relationship, you can turn back toward happiness, but like expect to get derailed again. Like just expect that.
Yeah.
And then like do the work of coming back.
Like, what do you think about these couples? Because every couple I know that was been married 50 years will say, "Whoo, there was a time where we were not."
I didn't know we were gonna make it.
And
right?
they'll talk about it in terms of like years. Like I think Michelle Obama talked about there were years.
Yeah.
Where she was like, "I didn't like Barack," and I'm just like, "How is this?" What are we doing? Like,
well, foundationally though, then the question for me is someone who's saying I went through multiple years of being unhappy with / not liking my spouse. Like they are operating under the belief that marriage is forever.
Yeah.
They're saying I made this commitment. It is forever. And therefore we are going to have seasons where we are happy with each other and seasons where we are not. And we're just going to traverse through that on the road of life and on the journey of life.
I thought that was a compelling question. So this issue of change.
Yeah.
So I had this analogy. I thought of this analogy a couple years ago where marriage is like a rubber band. And two people are like bound together by this rubber band. And as one person changes, the rubber band sort of stretches to accommodate them changing position where they were, right?
Okay.
And then another person changes, right? So the rubber band expands more. Sometimes, I think this happened in my parents' marriage. I think that my mother moved in the direction that my dad was moving in order to make the marriage work, right? Because at a certain point, when enough change happens, the rubber band breaks and the marriage falls apart. So I think women 50 years ago were expected to move where he moved. And I think my mother did that. I don't think that's happening very much these days. I mean, I think people are less willing to be like, well, you're going over there, I got to go over there, right? So marriages are suffering. But change is inevitable, right? Like people are going to change.
Right.
And I do think that change puts stresses on marriage.
Of course. Especially if you have the expectation the person is not.
Right.
Like, and that was what we came to in this series. Like Nick was like, I expected her to be the same and she's not. Now she has changed in ways that he doesn't like. I'm sure there were times where she changed in ways that he did like.
Right.
But his expectation was that she be the same girl that he married. And I think that's where people get caught up is that they don't even see the change coming. Like forget responding to the change.
Right.
They don't even expect that the change is going to happen.
Have you heard that line about women marry men hoping they'll change and men marry women
hoping they won't?
I thought that was like the way that he was talking about it. He was like, I didn't want her to change.
He understood. He underscored that.
Yeah, and matter of fact, so I sent you a clip today of Cree Summer talking about how when she had kids, so shout out to Shan.
Oh yeah, I loved this part. Yes.
And she said, when I had kids, I changed. She said, I was a different person. And she said, we need to do better about like introducing ourselves to our partners. Like I'm not like before kids and after kids, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
And I need you to meet who I am now. And I think a lot of guys are like, I don't want that.
I don't want to meet her. Like,
I don't want to meet. I don't want to meet
my
the
old
new
girl
person.
back.
Yeah. But that's also one of the things that we don't tell boys about marriage. That your your wife is going to change significantly when they have kids.
And so are you.
Yeah. Well,
but you're going to change along the way, but not with kids.
Right. Not in the same way, right? So I saw this post on social media about the joke was about a couple and the girl was giving the guy oral sex. And all the comments were these guys saying like, as soon as you put a ring on it, that's going to end. And I think that's the message that guys are getting about change. That your woman, and even with kids. So I guess we do get some messaging about that. Like, but it's all like negative messaging.
It's negative. It's like your wife's going to have kids. She's going to be less available to you. She's going to focus on you.
She's going to prioritize the kids over you. You're going to get left behind. It's all negative.
Yes.
There's a lot of bitter men out there on social media comments.
Even though the clip that you sent me that I watched today with Cree Summer, she was saying like reintroduce yourself, like introduce yourself to your partner. And I think many people are afraid also. Like, I don't think it's like also just men having unrealistic expectations. I think that there are partners who are saying like, I've changed in this way. I don't know if I can say to my spouse like, hey, you signed up for this one thing, but
now I'm totally different.
Now,
surprise.
I'm surprised. I'm different. Like that is really scary. So I think it goes both ways. I think people change, and there are both like expectations that people won't change and fear around articulating, here's how I have changed. And like, are you willing, especially if like change is not a part of the original contract. Right. Then there's got to be fear. Like, is this person going to be willing to go along with me through this version of me, which is going to turn into the next version of me that I can't even anticipate what that's going to be.
Right. Yeah. He said this line that I really loved. He said, we're like coworkers at a nuclear facility. We sit in the same room all night monitoring different screens. I was like, yo, how many couples?
I heard that. Yeah.
Wow.
Are doing that exact same thing.
Jobina, where are you on renewal ceremonies?
Oh, get out of here.
You don't like them?
No. I mean, here's why I will say. Here's why I would do one. Like, you get a do-over, you get a more modern dress. You get to go one more round of looking your absolute best and throwing a big party with your friend. But in terms of like the recommitment and all, that's it's not necessary. I feel like you got to recommit. You got to recommit to your spouse all the time, every day, ceremony or no ceremony. And the only reason I would ever do one is just for the fun of buying a new wedding dress.
Yeah. And having a party though, right? Isn't it a party?
And having a big party. Like dressing up fancy, hanging out with your friends. Yeah.
See, I think that, you know, the 7-year itch that you talk about, that marriages struggle in that 7-year period. I read into it a while ago when I was going through my 7th year marital itch. And they talk about one of the things that causes the itch is that when you first get married, there's a lot of change. Your jobs are changing, you're having kids, you're moving into a bigger house.
Right.
And they say around year 7 is when things start to slow down.
You reach a lull.
And you start looking like, oh, is this what my life is going to be for the next, umpteen years? And I think that couples use vacation planning and vow renewal ceremonies to break the monotony of marriage. Right? It's just something to look forward to. It's a party, something to do. I'm not into weddings, so I'm really not into vow. But I get it.
I'm not even here for the first one.
I get it that married couples are looking for a way to make something not about taking kids to soccer practice every Tuesday. Yeah. Just trying to change it up and have a party and do something fun. So I get it. The other thing I want to ask you, so how was it difficult for you watching this show? Because you have had several failed marriages.
Oh, jeez. I knew this was coming. Dear listeners, I haven't had any failed marriages. I'm just going to acknowledge that just because I have been divorced once does not mean that I have had any failed marriages.
I hear you.
So let me come for you on that.
I
have had one marriage that ended and another one that is still going strong. There you have it. Now, rephrase your question, sir.
How did it feel? How did it feel watching a divorce happening? Did it
marriage breakup?
Did it maybe this is a personal question for the podcast, but is there still a scar there that gets Or
No.
you're just like, no, that was 100 years ago.
No, I mean it's like, well, I think it's both that it was a while ago, but also like it's a reiteration of what I just said. Like I don't have shame around it. I don't have ill feelings toward my ex-spouse.
Right.
Like I had an experience with him that I wouldn't trade, and for everything, for all of it, for the ups and the downs.
Right.
And now I'm having a different life experience.
Okay.
So yeah, I can watch a story about people getting divorced and not fall apart. I can look at that maturity.
Look at you. Look at that maturity.
Check it out.
One of the other conversations they have early in the show is this idea of soulmates. Are you a soulmate person? Like, what do you think? No,
I'm not a soulmate person. I mean, I think about like everyone is out there trying to. I mean, not everyone. Many people are out there trying to. Some people are like bump it, but some people, a lot of people are out there trying to find someone that they can build a life with, that they're compatible with, and I think that there are a number of people that could be true for with people, and your job is to find someone who is mostly aligned with you, that you can build a life with, that you love. But no, not this idea.
But
of
what
like
about
soulmate, that someone was made for you?
Right,
No.
right. But okay. But maybe there's a soulmates, right? So it's not just
Mates.
one person.
Yes.
But there's
I can get with
people
that
out there because I do think maybe it doesn't require. Maybe it requires it now. Maybe it didn't used to require. But I do think it requires some deeper connection because the shit is going to hit the fan, right? The storm is coming. And if you're just like, this is a good partner, or this is a good, like this person's stable and kind, that's not going to be enough.
It's not going to get it. No, it's not going to get it.
There's got to be something. There's got to be a deeper connection.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I don't know what a soul is. Like, again, like having walked away from religion, the concept of a soul, it kind of loses its grounding in reality for me. So I don't know what a soul, but I get what's meant by soulmate, right?
Right.
Something
but you're
deep
saying
to
soul
my core.
connection.
Yeah, like
you're
there's
saying soul connection, not soulmate.
There's a deeper connection than just what's on paper. Maybe I'll say it that way. There's a paper like, oh, he's got a good job, he's got good teeth, he's tall.
Not good.
He's got
good
he's got a good family.
Put that on the
list. He resolves conflict well. Like all the things that are on paper, right? But then there's like this thing beneath that I just feel like you have to have that.
I agree with that. I agree, but here's my challenge with like the concept of a soulmate. I think unfortunately what it puts people in a position to do is to settle in sometimes on the wrong person, to put up with stuff they shouldn't put up with because they truly believe this is the one person on earth who is meant to love me and who is for me. And so I feel like that the concept of a soulmate can sometimes be very dangerous and put people in situations where they can't or won't get out of something that isn't a right match under this belief that like there is one person for me in the world and it's this person.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. Even if it's just not one, even if you feel like you're connected, like I'm here for a reason, like that might put you in a situation to endure maybe more than you should have. Like, is that really your soulmate? Like, all right, more or less. What did you want to see more or less of in this show?
Well, because I have already confessed that I watched all of it. I got what I wanted. I wanted to see I wanted to see the complexities of all of their relationships.
But when you got to the end of episode 1, like what were you hoping the show would go?
I mean, less so where I was hoping it would go and where I figured it was going is that like Nick and Anne are not going to renew their vows today. Like, this is I mean, the fact that he was coming back, I was so surprised. I was like, oh, they called him. He is going to come back. He has not disappeared.
Right.
But I was like, the ceremony is not going to go much further than this. I feel pretty strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the blowing up of the whatever the little shed was. That was like the Saved by the Bell. But I was like, they're not going to reschedule this thing. This is it.
This show was tough for me because dramedy is a hard genre. Like I think you either have to do drama with a sprinkle of comedy, or you have to do comedy with a sprinkle of drama. When you try to go really, like, it tried to be heavy drama and also like really funny. I just don't. It did not land for me. Like, it did not land for me.
I would say comedy with a sprinkle of drama is harder to pull off too. Like, I don't know how you do that. I like drama with a sprinkle of comedy that keeps it from being so heavy and gives like moments of levity. But to your point, like, they tried to do both all of the time. And it was just like, there were moments where I was like, this feels very Saturday Night Live. And of course, a lot of these people are Saturday Night Live alums. And then it's just like, but now here we are in this really serious moment about Nick and Ann's marriage. And it just, that felt a little bit flat for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you think about shows like The Cosby Show was comedy. They did some drama where they're like, Theo has dyslexia issue, and or like Sandra comes back with a husband. Like, so they did that. They struck that, like, this is a comedy show with some serious moments. But you're right, that Saturday Night Live thing is good.
That's
because
hard.
It did feel like Saturday Night Live sometimes.
It did, yeah.
Like, are we doing sketch comedy
guys.
here?
Right.
But then also there's a deeply serious situation going on in their marriage. Like, am I
Nick
supposed to
and
laugh?
Ann are no more.
Right. Like, if there was a studio audience, they'd be like, should we be laughing at this? Or is this a joke or this serious? Okay. Marry, Kill, or One Night Stand.
Okay.
I'm going to give you... So this is tough because there was a gay couple, and I want to give you, because he was the only black cast member.
You want to give me Colman Domingo, but you can't because
he's gay. His character was gay.
His character is gay, and therefore he would kill me. He would be like, absolutely not.
Okay, I'm going to give you Steve Carell's character. Like, I'm going to give you his character. Because the other guy, no, is a hard pass.
No, I'm going to kill Nick.
You're going to kill Nick?
Of course I'm going to kill Nick.
Why?
Like, because Nick expects that I can't marry him, right? Because he would expect me to be exactly the same as the day he married me. So that's out.
Okay.
I can't marry him.
Wait. Jobina, you're trying to say that Nick wasn't a little bit right about his wife? Like,
he was.
She was
dead boring. She was dead boring.
She was super lame.
She was super lame. But
what's he supposed to do?
He had the expectation. He can leave her. That's fine. But he had the expectation that she wasn't going to change, which means he would have the expectation that I'm not going to change.
I think his language was a little bit sloppy there. But, like, what's he supposed to do, Jobina? Like, she was extra lame.
Can I just point out to you, this is the second time on one episode that you try to push back on my decision. This is my decision.
I want better for you than you want for yourself.
Not going into a relationship with Nick. Not under any circumstance. I'm not marrying him. I'm not having a one-night stand with him. It is a no for me and Nick.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I am going to give you
Nick's wife.
No, I'm not giving you Anne. I'm going to give you Tina Fey's character, who I cannot remember her name.
That's a tough one. I liked her. I liked her. So in their relationship, she was like the one wearing the pants, right? She was the
Kate.
And
Kate.
you and I talked about this before.
Kate
like some
Jack.
Relationships, there's a mom-son dynamic going on, right?
And they definitely had that going on.
They definitely had that going on.
Big time.
But I'm no one's son except my own mother. So, but I like competent women. Like, that to me is amazing. Not so that they can son me, but just so that we can relate. Like, I relate better to highly competent women, and she was that. I don't know though. I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna marry her. I thought she had a very positive outlook. Like, I just liked her demeanor. I liked her perspective a lot. I mean, she wasn't always right, but who is?
Right. She had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, she had a good sense of humor. I want to marry her. Yeah. Okay. I feel good about that.
Invite me to the vow renewal.
Okay. I think we covered it, right? Anything else you want to say about the show?
No.
All right, well, thank you all for listening to One Episode Stand. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to the podcast to be alerted when new episodes drop. If you're listening on iTunes, please give us a rating. The theme music is Freedom by Paradox Hip Hop, and we'll be back next time with another series premiere. Jobina, let's end on this. Every story has a moral. What was the moral of this episode?
There are too many morals to count, but I am going to go. There's too many to count. I am going to go with, you can be a drama with a light touch of comedy, or a comedy with a light touch of drama.
Yeah.
But like, you can't be 50% drama, 50% comedy.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Yeah. My moral is that Michael Scott and Jobina Scott would make an excellent couple. I would think they would have several vow recommitment ceremonies.
5 years, 10 years, 15, and 20.
All right, everyone. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.